What's up, everybody? I'm Chase Lee reporting for DallasMovieScreenings.com, and I got another movie review for you guys, and that would be The Killing of a Sacred Deer. Now, this is a film I was looking forward to for many aspects, one of which, obviously, it is distributed by A24, and they have distributed and produced so many great films throughout the years. I don't even need to explain them anymore. They're one of my favorite studios out there. Two, it's from the director of The Lobster, which was a really interesting romantic comedy, kind of dark romantic comedy from a couple years ago. I also got to talk with the director just for a little bit on the red carpet at Fantastic Fest where I saw The Lobster, and the guy was very fascinating to talk to, just to kind of hear just the wheels turning in his head and just the creativity that was, happening up there. I was just impressed, just hearing him talk about The Lobster. And three, the trailer was wonderful. It gets you glued, it gets you hooked, and you're like, I don't know what I'm in for. But with all those things working together, I'm excited for it. And I can tell you right now, I'm going to go ahead and do a pun. You're going to go ahead and click off right now, but that's okay. This movie is like the killing of all your visual and auditory senses, but don't worry, it's in a good way. Now that you heard that terrible pun, I will see you guys later. I'm terrible, guys. I'm just a lame person. So, anyways, let's get real and break this down. I don't have really a lot of negatives, but I do have one negative that will kind of hinder it a lot for me, but I still love this movie overall, and it's still my top 10 of the year, so even before I get my grade, I'm just letting you guys know that right now. So let's start with the positives, because there's a lot to go with, so let's start with the kind of directing of the film, which is directed by Yorgos Lanthimos. I probably mispronounced that, but that's okay. Comment section below. Tell me I'm dumb. Anyways, from what I saw in The Lobster, I saw that this guy is very creative. He takes conventional genres and he spins it in such a unique and just kind of fresh way that's what I felt like this movie was. This is not a story that has a lot of meaning. I didn't really find in particular, like The Lobster, where like that had some themes going on. This is more of like a simple revenge story, kind of elevated to a Kubrick-esque level, which is never a bad thing. So I actually think without the directing, cinematography, editing, sound design, and music, and the capable acting, this movie would have been boring and would have been very, very average. So I'm glad that all those elements kind of elevated this movie up into something that I would call one of the best of the year, because the experience of it and the technical nature of it is so profound, and it's so just kind of cosmic, and it puts you in this trance that I'll let the story slide a little bit. But going back to the directing, Yorgos uses a lot of like kind of Kubrick-esque styles and actually a lot of Hitchcock as well, where he draws out scenes and he really grabs your attention. He lets that suspense go, and these scenes are so well edited that I was on the edge of my seat the entire time. There is not 1 minute in this movie that is wasted. It is precise. This is an airtight film, even though some of the negatives might contradict what I just said. But I think for the most part, the suspense and the overall terror and unsettling nature of this film is what drives this movie. And Yorgos does a really fantastic job of doing that and creating this kind of like suburban nightmare that's on the level of like a Stanley Kubrick mind effery and kind of a Hitchcock suspenseful style as well. So he really kind of brings this nightmare, just his unique vision just really kind of just impermeates your soul, and you're just like, Yorgos, what are you doing to me, man? Like, it's a very basic story, but I'm digging your vision to it. So, going off of his vision and his style and his overall, direct vision for the film, the cinematography is wonderful. Going back to Stanley Kubrick, you got these long tracking shots following characters down hallways, and it's so smooth and so accurate and precise. It's got wonderful, tracking shots and zoom-ins and zoom-outs. I felt like I was watching an old school movie from like the 70s or 80s. It was just kind of haunting. It just adds that like extra level of fear and anticipation that you would want in this type of narrative. And some of the shots were very effective on how they were delivered and how the actors kind of just like played them out. And I don't know, I was just hooked the entire time, not only on a visual level, but also a directing level as well. And also with the cinematography, there's a lot of kind of overhead shots following characters down hallways or, outside or whatever. And it kind of reminded me of this movie it's giving the sense of like there's something lurking around this family and there's really nothing they can do about it, because we as humans, we're just like little specks of dust in the galaxy, and we really can't control things that are beyond us. And I thought that was just an expert decision that was made in terms of that specific shot in the cinematography. Like I said, a very well-paced film. The editing is precise. It is one of the best edited films I've seen this year. I was on the edge of my seat. I was enthralled. I was curious. I was like, where is this going to go? And when you pair that with the wonderful and just kind of like frantic acting, it's subtle and frantic. It's a very unique mix. Especially the main creepo kid in the movie. I forgot his name. I apologize. But he was really good. He had kind of like that unnerving nature about him that, kind of like dead-eyed, like, I'm talking to you. I feel like I'm smart, but, I'm creeping you out type of deal. Kind of like how I was reminded with Ezra Miller's performance, and we need to talk about Kevin. But everyone across the board does absolutely wonderful, especially the other kids in the film. And the last positive, and this is a huge thing about this movie. If this didn't have these two elements, this movie would have gone nowhere. Music and sound design. The music is absolutely incredible. It heightens everything in that movie to just an even higher power into the psychological kind of like thriller horror genre. I was just in awestruck just listening to the movie. The movie starts out with, just pitch black and let the music go, kind of how I was reminded with the overture in The Hateful Eight when I saw that in theaters. And it really gets you into the mood of the film. And the music throughout, it makes your skin crawl. It's unnerving. It's disturbing. It's creepy, but yet somewhat majestic. Like, it's so strange when you hear this movie. And that's right, just hear it. That it totally accompanies with the cinematography and the kind of like paranoid, nightmarish direction that Yorgos had, and the music is just absolutely mind-blowing. It's my favorite score / soundtrack of the year so far. Like, it's wonderful. It also kind of reminded me of this score for like Under Your Skin, where it was kind of like just that. It's supposed to make you feel uncomfortable, and like it's just in your ear, but like when what you're watching is it's working in sync, and it's just wonderful. And the sound design, once again, bone chilling, hair tingling, just makes you want to shudder every time when you hear something it's kind of like it's enhanced type of audio where you're like, Yorgos wants to make you feel uncomfortable. That was the whole goal, and it worked. Negatives of the film. I do feel like even though it is a well-paced film and it is an airtight film, it can feel a little long in some scenes. I'm not saying that's for all scenes, but some scenes are a little bit more dragged out, and you're like, can we get this going? I'm still interested, but I can feel the weight of the time on me. It's a 2-hour film, but there's a couple scenes where I was like, okay, we can wrap this up type of deal. But that's not like a huge issue. And the second thing, a lot of people are touting this movie as a dark comedy. I actually think that was the biggest negative of the film. I don't like any of the dark comedy that was portrayed in the movie. I didn't really laugh that hard. I didn't even giggle, or I smirked maybe once. But I do think that the tonal clashing with the overall intensity of the suspense and the darkly comedic timing was very weird. I understand this is kind of like a weird world, and these are very offbeat characters, but I felt like the dark comedy just really kind of it hit you, and then I felt kind of taken back, because I was so into it that when there was like a joke-ish type of dialogue that was pitched towards me, I was like, I understand what you were trying to do, but that kind of threw me off guard, and it really kind of took me out of the movie. And I didn't really find it to enhance anything. I wish you would have just kept it. I wish the movie would have kept it a straight suspense film, and I would have been totally fine with it. I understand it's supposed to have comedic relief, but I just thought that this movie was so intense in one genre. When you sprinkle another kind of subgenre in there, it just really didn't mesh well for me. But that's honestly not a big deal for me, because this is not a dark comedy. There was like maybe a couple lines where they were going for a laugh. Like there might have been spurts, but I didn't find it to like be what people were claiming it to be. But I found it to be a very Alfred Hitchcockian, Stanley Kubrick-esque type of thriller that really just makes you appreciate the paranoia type of films, because when they are done correctly, they will make you sit there all the way through, engaged, and make you sit in the seat after the credits and wonder what you just saw. I'm going to give The Killing of a Sacred Deer a B+, a very strong B+, but I do think the dark comedy aspect kind of took it down for a little bit, because it really just makes the movie halt for me. And, you know, when I rewatch this, I might give it like an A- in the future, or an A, but I think on first viewing, I'm very comfortable with saying a B+. It's in my top 10. So I'm not saying I hate this movie, but I think a B+ is where I'm comfortable with, but when I rewatch it, I might change my mind. So what about you guys? Have you seen The Killing of a Sacred Deer? You know, have you heard of it or whatnot? Please comment in that Please comment in the place where I'm on face and let me know. And as always, guys, I'm Chase Lee reporting for DallasMovieScreenings.com, and tune in next time for whatever I review next. I will see you guys later.